Brooklyn Independent Television.
Get ready, because Brooklyn is getting its own batch of superheroes. And it's about time. The originals have nothing on this authentic outer-borough crew. We caught up with Stuart Moore and Damion Scott, part of the creative team of Brooklyn Avengers.
My name is Stuart Moore. I'm a writer and sometimes an editor. And my most recent work is 2 issues of Web of Spiderman, introducing the Brooklyn Avengers. This book is a part of Marvel's 50th anniversary celebration of Spider-Man. I think all of them have some link to his past. And that's what we've done here, is filled in a little gap in something you didn't know about Spider-Man, like a little piece of his past that you don't know about, mostly because he's so ashamed of it he's never told anybody. Spider-Man's from Queens, which sets up a natural tension between him and the Brooklyn Avengers. He joined the Brooklyn Avengers back when he first became a superhero, but he didn't realize these guys didn't really have their act together. He eventually quit the team, and he spent several years avoiding them. But now, what triggers the story is somebody may or may not be killing them off one by one. So when they call him in, it's kind of like you may have old friends who embarrass you, but when they're in real trouble, you still have to go help them anyway.
I think his goal was to create a bunch of guys and girls that fully represented the different ethnic diversities of Brooklyn. At the same time, he kind of threw in a few different age groups.
The 2 older characters are an old man named Rotary, who could cause people to spin around, and an old woman named Mince, who can take any of those sort of little peppermint mints that you find on old women's coffee tables and charge them up into super weapons. Then we have the hipster, who has hypnotic powers. Paintball, who's a girl just out of her teens. She can throw bursts of paint from her fingertips. Her mother is a character named Boilermaker, who's the superintendent of the building and can fix any mechanical object, but as her name implies, kind of has a little bit of an alcohol problem. And then there's the 2 brothers, Psi and Phi, who are telepathic and have a telepathic bond. And they're really at the core of the story. Tell me, is this packed in with their CD, or what are they? Damion and I didn't know each other before this started. I pitched the story to Marvel first, and they liked it. Damion had done some work on Spider-Man a few years ago, and this just seemed perfect because he's a Brooklyn native. His characters are great, but so is his architecture and sense of place. Because the borough of Brooklyn is as much of a character in this as any of the heroes.
The writer is like the screenplay writer, or in some ways like the co-director, and then like the artist's job is to be the cinematographer, co-director. We're really going in and choosing the camera angles. We're really choosing like the pacing and things of that nature. The writing is very literal, you know, it's more about wordplay, it's more about ideas, whereas with the art, you're trying to communicate other storytelling elements and as much subtlety as possible. The first time I met Stuart, I liked the guy right away. Not only was he a super comic book professional, he was also just knowledgeable about a lot of things.
I was part of an early wave of gentrification in my neighborhood, and there's been a lot more of that since then. And that's kind of at the heart of this story too, because it's about a group of people who all live in one building. They're being forced out. And that's another reason they have to band together, and another reason Spider-Man feels he has to help them.
The locations in the Brooklyn Avengers came about mostly through Stuart, but there were areas where I saw an opportunity. He wanted the Brooklyn Avengers to have their headquarters be in this brownstone. And I grew up in this brownstone, and I was kind of like, I'm gonna make it my place.
When I wrote this scene, I'd had this bridge particularly in mind. And partly because it's just so bright and blue, and it's just distinctive. But I've always liked it, and I walk across it all the time.
When I saw it, I was like, dope. You know, like, it's like, just because it is so exclusive, you know? And like walking across it, when I was studying the book, I said, you gotta put Spidey up there.
Right up there.
I think you always gotta put Spider-Man in high places.
No,
like,
I agree.
intricate, exclusive spots that only he can get into. You know what I mean? Like that little crack in the corner right up there.
Yeah.
That's where I would put him. That's where I would be if I was Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Hanging down, talking to people. Yeah, it's good. I mean, he could have been in the middle of the bridge, too.
Yeah, I think so.
That's another option. And there's a scene where he leaps in front of the group. The group is talking about something, and he leaps in front of the group and looks down to talk to them.
Right.
And you captured that beautifully.
To do it again, I probably would have had him on the web line right in the middle. The piece behind me is basically Marsha's Angels. It's kind of a series of white and black angels that I started doing when I was in Tokyo. The philosophy behind it was basically that everybody has two protectors. You've got like your one angel that she holds you down, you're doing all your good stuff. But then you've got this dark angel that gets you out of the tight situations when you do something that you're not quite supposed to do. It's basically a yin-yang, it's all about balance. We go through a lot of stuff every day. We have a lot of stuff on our minds all the time. You know what I mean? There's an incredible amount of value to the moment where you're not thinking about anything. Those are the moments where you might not realize it, but you're actually at your happiest. You know what I'm saying? So my goal is to like put that picture in front of you that's gonna take you out of the bills. And it's gonna take you out of what your girlfriend is putting you through with your kids. Or whatever might be going on in your life. Right now, you're just focused on this. And that's got its own atmosphere. That's what I do. I'm a superhero in that way.
I do think of this story as kind of just it's just sort of a love letter to Brooklyn a little bit, in that it's really all about this borough and the kind of people who live in it, the different kinds of people, and some of the challenges they're facing, and it was important to me to get that in there.
Download this program's podcast on iTunes. Keywords Brooklyn Independent Television.